They left without a word, no explanation, no closure, just vanished. And you were left behind, haunted by silence, buried under the weight of every unanswered question. Ever felt like someone erased you from existence, without even looking back? You gave them everything, your time, your heart, your loyalty. And when it ended, it wasn't with a fight, a scream, or even a goodbye. It ended with silence. Cold, empty, final. But what if that silence says more about them than it ever did about you? Some betrayals don't come with bruises, they come with quiet. And the most painful goodbyes are the ones that were never said. But here's the secret they don't want you to know. Your silence can become your greatest weapon. They didn't offer a single word, no warning, no explanation, no goodbye, just silence. As if you were nothing. As if your existence was a chapter they could rip out and burn without remorse. That moment felt like death, didn't it? Like being deleted from a life you poured your soul into. No answers, no closure, just ... gone. And while you stood there frozen in time, overanalyzing every moment, blaming yourself for their vanishing act, they walked away like it never meant a thing. But let's tell the truth that no one told you back then. When someone discards you without a word, it's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their fear, their emotional cowardice, because real strength doesn't hide behind silence. Silence is not Pisit's evasion. It's the exit strategy of someone too weak to face what they've done. But here's what they never saw coming. Your silence, becoming louder than any words you could have said. A silence that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't crumble, but rebuilds. Quietly, powerfully. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove them wrong. You don't even need them to understand what they lost. All you need is to disappear, to withdraw your energy, to begin the quiet, disciplined work of rebuilding your world in the shadows without them. And when you rise again, they will feel the absence of what they once took for granted. Not because you destroyed them, but because they destroyed the one light that ever truly cared. This isn't a story about bitterness. It's not about getting. Even this is about emotional sovereignty, about becoming untouchable, stoic, unshaken, whole. In this video, we're diving deep into the psychology behind the silent discard, one of the most invisible yet brutal emotional wounds. We'll uncover why your absence holds more power than your presence ever did, and how to rise not enraged but in resilience, with quiet confidence and unshakable power. Let's begin. There's a certain kind of cruelty that doesn't involve yelling, fists, or blame. It arrives silently, disguised as distance, disguised as indifference. It comes from someone who once said, "You matter," and now acts as if you never existed at all. It's called the silent discard, and it's one of the most psychologically damaging experiences a person can endure. Because it doesn't just break your heart, it makes you question if you ever mattered in the first place. But here's the truth. They hope you never figure out. They didn't go silent because you meant nothing. They went silent because you meant too much, and facing that truth terrified them. So, why do they go silent? What's the psychology behind such a vanishing act? People who use the silent discard aren't strong. They're emotionally immature, often narcissistic, deeply insecure. When faced with discomfort, truth, or conflict, they don't engage. They flee, not for peace, but for control. Because disappearing without explanation isn't passive, it's strategic. It accomplishes 3 toxic goals all at once. 1. It avoids accountability. By ghosting, they dodge responsibility. No need to explain, no apologies, no self-reflection. They pull the escape hatch and leave you behind with the wreckage too. It creates confusion. Without closure, your mind spirals. You replay every word, every glance, every memory, wondering what was real. Was it all your fault? Were you just imagining everything? And in that mental chaos, they still hold power. Point 3. It protects their image. They disappear cleanly without a mess. No confrontation, no visible damage. To the outside world, they look unbothered, even graceful. But inside, it's all cowardice wrapped in silence. In the previous section, we exposed the hidden cruelty behind silent discards, how they vanish without closure, leaving you questioning your worth. But now, let's go deeper. Because silence doesn't just hurt, it manipulates. When there's no argument, no confrontation, they walk away clean, guilt-free, or worse. They twist the narrative, painting you as the one who overreacted. Suddenly, you're the dramatic one, the unstable one, the problem. That's the sinister genius of this kind of emotional manipulation. It's quiet, invisible, and almost impossible to defend yourself against. It doesn't leave bruises on your skin. It leaves confusion in your mind. And yet the damage it causes, it's deep, long-lasting, the kind that lingers in the shadows of your self-worth. But here's the shift. Once you truly understand this dynamic, something powerful happens. You stop blaming yourself. You stop asking, what did I do wrong? And instead, you start reclaiming the very strength they tried to erase. Because the truth is this, it was never really about you. This is where emotional intelligence becomes your greatest weapon. See, when someone discards you like that silently, without dignity or closure, first instinct is often to blame yourself. You think, I must not have been enough. I must have done something to drive them away. If I really mattered, they would have at least said goodbye. But the truth, it's colder, and oddly more empowering. People don't walk away in silence because you're insignificant. They do it because you're too significant, too real, too raw, too confronting. Your presence became a mirror they couldn't bear to look into, because your love forced them to see what they couldn't give back. Your honesty exposed the lies they lived behind. And when that reflection got too clear, when the truth became too sharp, they shattered the mirror instead of facing themselves. They didn't leave because they stopped caring. They left because real caring demands growth. And growth terrifies people who are emotionally immature. So how do you respond to this kind of betrayal? That's where Stoicism offers a path forward. Powerful one. To be detached, in Stoic terms, is not coldness. It's discipline, the Stoics taught. It's not what happens to us that matters, but how we choose to respond. Being discarded may feel like an injustice. It may burn, but if you cling to it, you obsess, beg, or wait for answers, you're handing your peace over to someone who never deserved it in the first place. The Stoic response: detachment with dignity, discipline with silence. You don't need to chase. You don't need to demand explanations. You don't need to match their silence with noise. Because the most powerful response is your refusal to respond at all. Let's look at a real-life parallel. Take Anna, for example. She gave her heart fully to someone who, one day, simply disappeared. No message, no call, just vanished. For weeks, she spiraled, asking questions she'd never get answers to. blaming herself, replaying every moment. But something shifted. Something inside her broke, then rebuilt. She stopped asking, stopped waiting, stopped chasing ghosts. She disappeared too, not out of revenge, but to protect her soul. 2 years passed. Then one day, the same person who left her in silence messaged, "I miss you. I've been thinking about you for a long time." But by then, Anna had rebuilt a life so full, so peaceful, so strong. She didn't even reply, and that silence echoed louder than any words ever could. It wasn't cold, it was clarity, it was power. Here's the truth: the silent discard isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your transformation. Because the very moment someone tries to make you feel small through silence, that's the moment you begin to grow quietly, gracefully, and powerfully. That's where your journey begins, not with explanations, not with revenge, but with the decision to no longer need either. Let's be honest, when someone leaves without a word, the most natural thing you crave is understanding. Why did they leave? Was it me? Do they still think about me? If I could just talk to them once, I'd feel better. That craving, it feels like healing. But it's a trap, a dangerous one, because it keeps you emotionally tied to someone you've already outgrown. It's the illusion of closure. We're taught to romanticize closure as if it's this clean, respectful conversation where two mature adults sit down, speak their truth, and part with peace. But reality is messier. People who vanish without a word aren't looking for peace. They're looking for control. They don't want a final talk. They want final power, and silence gives them that power. You thought letting go would bring peace, but what you were really seeking was validation. You wanted them to admit what they did. You wanted a reason, an apology. You wanted to hear, "Yes, I hurt you. Yes, you mattered. And yes, I was wrong." But here's the brutal truth. Anyone who could walk away that easily was never going to give you that kind of honesty, because every time you chase closure from someone like that, you're not just looking for answers, you're reinforcing a toxic cycle in your mind. A cycle where your healing depends on their response, where your peace depends on their acknowledgement. And that's dangerous, because you're tying your self-worth to someone who already threw it away without care. You create an emotional debt where your peace is always waiting on their payment. But here's the cold reality. They're not going to pay. Not because you don't deserve it, but because they're too weak to face what they did. So when you reach out again, you're not looking for healing. You're reopening a wound that should be left closed. Because real closure isn't something they give you. It's something you choose to give yourself. And that is where emotional intelligence begins. You stop needing their apology. You stop waiting for their guilt. You stop needing them to say anything, because silence can be an answer to. And the moment you stop chasing closure, you start chasing peace. Let me show you. Marcus loved deeply and got discarded without a word. He spent nights typing and deleting messages. "I just want to understand. Why did you ghost me? Did it mean nothing?" But he never sent them. One day, something in him snapped, not from rage, but from sudden clarity. He realized, if they truly cared, he wouldn't be left wondering whether they respected him. He wouldn't need to ask, so instead of sending that final message, he blocked the number, deleted the chat, and went for a long, silent walk. That was the moment he reclaimed his power, not by confronting them, but by confronting himself. The Stoic way: let go of what you cannot control. Because, As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things beyond your control. Their regret, their guilt, their explanation, that's their path, not yours. Your path is to protect your energy, to raise your standards, to walk away without looking back. Not because you don't care, but because you've grown too much to stay. So here's the summary. Walk on, even without answers. Rise, even without closure. You don't need their apology. You don't need their text. You don't need their permission to move on. The closure you've been seeking, it's not something they say. It's something you release from within. I deserve peace, even without explanation. And when you walk with that kind of clarity, you stop chasing and start rising. There's something powerful and devastating about silence. Not the silence of indifference, but the silence of someone who once cared and now simply doesn't. You might think your silence is being ignored, that your absence means nothing. But the truth is, your absence echoes louder than any confrontation ever could. Because when you walk away, you're not just leaving them behind, you're reclaiming your power. These are the same people who expected you to beg, to chase, to fall apart. But nothing confuses a manipulator more than the one thing they never prepared for: your silence. You leaving without a single word, no explanation, no breakdown, just peace. That silence, it wasn't weakness. It was the end of their illusion. When they discarded you, they expected drama, anger, tears, desperate late-night messages. That reaction would have told them, I still matter. I still have control. But you didn't give them what they needed. You gave them silence, pure, unshakable, unapologetic silence. And in doing so, you did something far more dangerous. You destroyed the idea that they ever had control over you in the first place. You stopped being a character in their game. You became a ghost in their conscience. And nothing haunts the guilty more than the silence of someone they've wronged. Why do narcissists fear absence so deeply? Because they don't seek connection. They seek mirrors, reflections, people who validate their image, fuel their ego, react to their games. When you disappear, they're left alone with themselves. No reflection, no supply, just silence. And what they see, emptiness, shame, a fractured identity that was held together by your presence. Losing you wasn't just about losing a person. It was about losing the illusion that kept them emotionally alive. Let me tell you about Lisa. She was stuck in an almost relationship for 11 months. Every time she set a boundary, he ghosted her, then popped back up like nothing happened. But one day, Lisa stopped explaining. No angry texts, no goodbye, just silence. 3 months later, he messaged her. I still think about you. I wasn't ready then. Can we talk? But by then, Lisa had already moved on. She was glowing, in therapy, fit, centered. Her silence had done what all her words never could. He'd forced him to face himself, and he couldn't handle it. There's a psychological term for this: narcissistic injury. It's the collapse that happens when someone's false self is ignored, threatened, or left behind. Your silence creates that collapse. Why? Because in their mind, they held the power. They controlled the ending. But when you remove your energy quietly, without asking you, take back the script. And suddenly, the story can't go on without you. This is the power of Stoic non-reaction. Stoicism says, he who angers you controls you. But silence is emotional self-mastery. It's not passive. It's deliberate. To say nothing when you could destroy them with words, that's power. To walk away when you could explode, strength. To stay silent when they expect you to spiral, that's dominance. It's not suppression, it's clarity, discipline, power. It's calm after the chaos because now you are the storm. They'll never predict again. Summary: your silence is the sentence they can't escape. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. You don't even need them to miss you. What breaks them is realizing you no longer need them at all. Your silence says, I know who I am. I protect my peace. I do not explain my worth to those who chose not to see it. And to someone who once discarded you like you were nothing, that silence becomes the loudest scream they'll ever hear. There's something sacred about disappearing, not out of rage, not out of pain, but out of total, calculated peace. You don't vanish to hurt them. You vanish to heal yourself. And just like that, we continue the journey, one where silence isn't surrender, but a declaration of inner order. After choosing peace over pleasing others, you step into a deeper truth, that disappearing, when done right, is not running away. It's rising higher. True silence is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's a powerful discipline rooted in emotional intelligence. Many confuse disappearing with fear. But the truth is you're not running from anything. You're walking away from the noise to return to your own voice. You're no longer willing to trade your dignity for distractions, your peace for performance. You choose stillness over chaos, clarity over confusion. Disappearing means you've finally stopped offering your worth to places that treated it like it was free. This is the psychology of withdrawal, of reclaiming the frame in toxic dynamics where manipulation, emotional neglect, and ambiguity ruled you. Were trapped inside their pace, their rules, their vanishing acts. But silence breaks that cycle. It interrupts the emotional loop, ends the dance to their rhythm, and brings you back to your own. And no, this isn't revenge. It's not a tactic. It's a transformation. You're not a reactive character in their story anymore. You become the main character in your own. That shift, that rebirth, happens in silence. There's a reason prophets went to the desert. Why warriors trained in isolation. Why monks sit in silence. Not because they feared the world, but because true power is grown in absence, not noise. When you disappear, you start hearing your thoughts again. You feel your values returning. You set internal boundaries, ones people can't see, but they feel the moment you come back. This isn't retreat, it's renewal. You heal, you grow. You remember who you were for the world tried to tell you who to be. A true story. Jordan, the woman who disappeared and rose after being discarded by her partner of 4 years. No goodbye, no closure, just silence. She was shattered. She wanted to scream, to explain, to be heard, but deep down, something wiser whispered, don't fight for the illusion, rebuild the truth. So she did the radical thing. She vanished from social media, from mutual circles, from everything that tied her to his ghost. In that 1 year of silence, she started therapy, traveled alone, built her business, and most of all, she fell in love with herself. A year later, he reached out. But by then, he wasn't messaging the broken woman he left behind. He was messaging the version of her he never imagined would rise. She didn't even reply, not out of ego, but because her silence had already said everything. That's the quiet confidence they can't touch. Most people don't realize. Confidence isn't loud. It's still dot. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't react. It redirects. When you disappear, you begin to embody that stillness. You stop over-explaining. Stop defending. Stop leaking your power into empty conversations. And that silence, it terrifies those who once fed off your chaos. Because real power doesn't scream. It withdraws. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That's what true disappearance offers you, a quiet mind grounded in truth. You're not chasing applause. You're chasing alignment. You're not begging to be seen. You've become the one who observes. You walked off the battlefield not because you lost, but because the war was never worthy of you. Let's pick up where we left off when someone walks away thinking they've won. But what they don't see is what happens next. The silent transformation. Disappearing isn't about ghosting. It's not an act of revenge, nor is it some silent punishment. It's a powerful declaration. A message that your energy is sacred. That your healing is not a performance for others to witness. That your life doesn't need their participation to become something extraordinary. And when you re-emerge, if you ever do, you'll be unrecognizable. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally became everything they tried to silence. When they left without a word, they thought they already knew the ending. They expected tears, breakdowns, desperate texts, begging for closure. They assumed you'd collapse, because in their mind, you were emotionally fragile, weak, dependent. But here's what they didn't see coming. You didn't fall apart. You fell into alignment. They misjudged you because they never truly knew you. They saw the kindness, the patience, the openness, and they mistook it for weakness. What they couldn't see was your quiet endurance, the storms you've weathered. Long before they entered your life, they thought your deep love made you soft. But deep love is not born of fragility, it's built on courage. So when they threw you aside, expecting your world to collapse, something else happened. You rose silently, steadily, fiercely. You didn't beg. You didn't chase. You didn't try to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. You paused. You processed. Then you pivoted toward healing. That kind of emotional maturity is rare. And to someone who relies on emotional chaos to stay in control, it's terrifying. Because manipulators can't exploit someone who knows their own worth and keeps it in silence. What they truly didn't expect was your evolution. They expected you to shrink, to wait, to lose yourself. Instead, you rebuilt. You trained your mind. You dropped the dead weight of emotional baggage. You became the version of yourself they never supported and now secretly fear. Your silence became your gym. Your solitude became your therapist. Your pain became your teacher. You're not the person they walked away from. You're now a blueprint of resilience they will never understand. Let me give you a real example. Let's talk about Ryan. After a 5-year relationship, his partner ghosted him without a single word. He was crushed at first. For a week, he spiraled. But then something shifted. He stopped checking her social media. He stopped replaying old conversations. He joined a self-development program, began running daily, and started building a startup from scratch. A year later, she messaged him. "You seem different." He wasn't colder, not bitter, just unavailable to anyone who couldn't meet the standard of the man he had become. He had grown so far beyond the version she left behind. He could no longer even relate to the man she discarded. That's the power of self-worth. When you stop seeking validation from those who abandoned you, you tap into a new level of strength. You no longer ask, "How could they do this to me?" Now, you ask, why did I tolerate that for so long? That shift right there, that's your liberation. You've stopped seeking closure from people who never respected your boundaries. You've stopped asking for clarity from those who are only dealt in confusion. You're no longer begging to be let in. Now, you're the one building the gates. And guess what? They're no longer welcome. But not in anger, just in peace. They crumble, not because you attacked them, but because you healed. What shatters them isn't your rage, it's your evolution. It's witnessing you step into a life they no longer have access to. A life built on clarity, not chaos. On self-respect, not survival. It's the silence that stings them. Not because you're hiding, but because you're glowing and you don't need to be seen to shine. You've become a mirror again. But this time, it doesn't reflect their false image back to them. This time, it reflects what they'll never become. Resilience, grace, peace. You're disciplined. You're untouchable. Remember this, you were never meant to fall apart. You were built to rise. They mistook the silence for your end, but it was your beginning. The moment they walked away was not your downfall, was your release. Now, they're stuck watching from a distance, as the person they once dismissed becomes the version they secretly admire. Why? Because you didn't just survive being discarded, you transcended it. There's a painful irony here. They believed silence would destroy you, that walking away without closure would leave you desperate, spiraling. They thought your worth depended on their validation, but they were wrong. While they left, assuming you'd collapse, you rose with purpose. While you healed quietly, they fell into the chaos they once hid behind. Let's break down why it's called the vacuum effect. When your energy exits, so does their illusion. The first thing that crumbles in your absence. Their illusion of control. For someone who feeds on attention, manipulation, or emotional dominance, silence is psychological death. You weren't just a person to them. You were a mirror, a supply source, a puppet to command. They could provoke and pacify you at will. But when you go completely silent, cleanly, without crumbs, they're forced to face the truth. They were never in control. You had simply not taken yours back until now. And now that you have, they spiral, because silence forces them to face their void. While you've been growing, building clarity, spiritual discipline, and emotional resilience, they've been circling the same patterns: blame, denial, projection. Because when someone discards you thinking it'll set them free, but realizes that you're the one who actually found freedom, they begin to unravel. Suddenly, the person who didn't care becomes obsessed with your silence. The one who ghosted you is now haunted not by you, but by the version of you they never waited to see fully bloom. Your absence echoes in their emptiness, and it triggers their greatest fear: being irrelevant. But you rose, because you alchemized pain into purpose. While they stayed stuck in emotional limbo, you rewired your entire mindset. You didn't just move on, you moved inward. You built boundaries. You developed emotional intelligence. You cultivated a mindset fueled by purpose, not pain. And purpose transforms everything. You stopped needing apologies. You stopped replaying old scenes. You stopped leaking energy into people who refused to evolve. You didn't escape the darkness. You walked through it and emerged as light. A real-life reflection of this. Camila. After 12 years of being emotionally abandoned in her marriage, her husband disappeared without a word. No goodbye, no closure. But instead of collapsing, Camila journaled through the pain. Day by day, she turned heartbreak into healing. She wrote, a memoir that now empowers thousands of women to reclaim their voice. Years later, her ex reached out, but she had already moved to a new city with a new career and a new life. He didn't lose her when he left. He lost her when he mistook her silence for weakness, because her silence wasn't the end. It was her evolution. But once you stopped defending your worth, a quiet shift happened. Your silence didn't start as a weapon. It became something far more powerful, a wall they could no longer penetrate. Some people misread silence as aggression, but for those who have cultivated inner peace, silence isn't warfare. It's not a threat. It's a boundary. A clear line that calmly says, I don't owe you my explanation anymore. I don't need to prove I deserve respect. And to those who manipulate through guilt, shame, or blame, that kind of quiet detachment is terrifying. Why? Because their power depends on your reaction, your emotion, your confusion. But when you stop reacting, you become unreadable, unshakable, untouchable. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. You rise, they collapse. Not because you harmed them, but because they remained unchanged while you grew. That's the quiet tragedy. Their downfall wasn't caused by your silence. It was caused by their refusal to evolve. You, on the other hand, outgrew the old version of yourself, the one that tolerated excuses, confusion, and emotional crumbs. You no longer settle for half-love or one-sided effort. You became too expensive for their cheap energy, too clear for their chaos. And they stayed stuck, trapped in the same emotional loops, cycling through lessons they still refused to learn. You broke free. You stopped chasing validation you no longer needed. You healed patterns they still live in. And that's not your karma. That's their lesson. Here's the summary most never say out loud. Their collapse is silent but devastating. They won't admit it. Some don't even fully understand it, but deep inside, they feel it. The same silence they left you in is now echoing inside them. Meanwhile, you've become a monument of quiet strength, a walking reminder of what happens when someone finally chooses themselves. They thought leaving you would break you, but it was your calm transformation that broke them. They expected drama, tears, rage, a breakdown they could point at and say, see, they're crazy, they still want me. But you gave them nothing. No late-night texts, no impulsive posts, no final argument, no battlefield, and somehow that nothing was everything. Because here's the truth, your healing hurt them in ways revenge never could. Revenge screams, but healing echoes. Revenge plays into their narrative. It gives them something to fight against. But healing is silent, strategic, unreachable. It removes you from the game. You become invisible to their chaos and to a manipulator. That's the most terrifying thing of all, realizing they've lost the script because you stopped showing up. For the performance, you walked off the stage, burned the costume, and rewrote your entire character arc. They can't retaliate because you're no longer playing. And why does that bother them so deeply? Because they can't stand your peace. Contrary to what most believe, toxic people don't necessarily want you to suffer. What they really want is access to your energy, your joy, your sadness, even your anger. They feed on it. They want engagement. When you stop explaining, stop reacting, stop needing them, you become a void. And a void cannot be manipulated. That's what drives them mad. Real life snapshot, the man who didn't look back. After years of emotional manipulation, Derek had enough. No revenge, no final argument, no attempt to win. He went silent. He blocked her number, left town, and went completely no contact. Months passed. Then, out of nowhere, she messaged, "So, you're just going to forget me? Like I never mattered." But Derek never replied, because by the time she realized what she had lost, he had already outgrown the version of himself who once needed her validation. And that silence, it haunted her more than any insult ever could, because the ego, it can't handle being irrelevant. When you heal without their permission, without proving your point, you destroy the illusion that they were ever central to your world. And to them, that truth is unbearable, because your healing sends one final message they can't ignore. You were never the center of my universe, and you never will be. I just didn't realize it sooner. That truth, that quiet but profound moment, is what hurts the most. You found peace while they were left with emptiness. While you were nourishing your soul, they were busy chasing illusions. While you were investing in your self-worth, they were quietly checking your online status, hoping to catch a glimpse of the person you used to be. But that person no longer exists. You're no longer the old version, easily hurt, quick to react, easy to manipulate. Now you're stronger, clearer. You didn't heal to impress anyone. You healed to become untouchable. And the more inner stillness you found, the louder the noise grew in their mind. You chose discipline over drama. Honestly, the old you might have fought back, posted some cryptic quotes, engaged in toxic conversations, even begged for closure that never came. But not anymore. Now you choose to train your soul. You choose emotional mastery over emotional leakage. You rebuild yourself silently, brick by brick, thought by thought. And that decision didn't just save you. It shattered the illusion they once held, that they could control you forever. Now, you're no longer chasing justice. You are the justice. Healing isn't avoidance, it's action. It's quiet justice. Because when you walk away with dignity, when you stop justifying your worth, when you no longer settle for scraps of affection, that's when you transform. From victim to victor. You don't need a battle. You just need clarity. And now, the life you're living is undeniable proof that you made the right choice. Your peace is the punishment. Your growth is the response. And your silence, it's the most powerful closure of all. In short, they wanted you broken, but you chose wholeness. They wanted you stuck in an endless loop of abandonment, but instead, you walked off the battlefield completely. No noise, no drama, only stillness and ascension. And now, every step you take toward healing becomes a silent scream echoing in their conscience. They left you hoping you'd disappear into the pain, but instead, you disappeared into your power. And that was the one thing they never expected. They weren't afraid of your tears. They weren't afraid of your heartbreak. They feared your transformation. The moment you became emotionally unreachable, that's when they knew they'd lost all control. Let's be clear about the psychological power of this transformation. Detachment isn't coldness. It's mastery. You didn't become distant. You didn't become bitter. You became aware of who's truly worthy of your emotions, aware of the cost of letting chaos into your inner peace, aware of your own value. Emotional detachment isn't about avoiding connection. It's about choosing who deserves it. You used to give that connection too freely. Now, you guard it like a sacred gift. And it's that very change that terrifies manipulators. Because they can't stir what they can't touch. Silence doesn't build walls, it builds fortresses. People think silence is just the absence of sound, but real silence, forged from brokenness, is a fortress. It doesn't isolate you, it protects you, it filters energy, it sharpens discernment. It creates a psychological boundary where your emotional space is yours alone, not a public park for anyone to trample. And this level of discipline makes toxic people uneasy, because now they realize, I can't get in unless I'm invited, and they'll never be invited again. When you stop explaining, you begin to elevate. You once tried to make them understand your heart. You waited, hoping they would change. But gradually, you saw a cold truth. The more you spoke, the more it hurt. So you stopped talking, stopped pleading, stopped hoping. You chose silence, not because you gave up, but because you woke up, and from that awakening, a new version of you was born. A version with boundaries, depth, and inner strength. Someone not easily touched. Take Sophia, for example, a woman who once lived under the subtle control of her ex-husband. As a mother of two, she was constantly guilt-tripped by his words and emotional games. Every time she tried to set a boundary, he would spark guilt. You're overreacting. You're always so insecure. No one else will love you. Those phrases repeated like paper cuts, small but deepening over time, until one day Sophia stopped responding. She didn't cry, didn't argue. She quietly packed her things, moved into a small, peaceful apartment, and disappeared from his life forever. Now, years later, Sophia is a trauma-informed life coach. She helps other women reclaim their energy, piece by piece. When asked what changed her life the most, she smiled and said, "The day I stopped being emotionally available to chaos was the day I truly began to live." And you're becoming someone like that too, mysterious, calm, grounded in your power. There's something magnetic about someone who doesn't react impulsively. You walk into a room with stillness in your step, focus in your gaze. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't feel the need to prove anything. Your confidence is quiet, but it carries weight. Your emotional stillness isn't emptiness, it's discipline. Those who once walked away from you now feel your absence like a missing oxygen tank. But you were never the oxygen. What they're gasping for is the illusion of control they once had over you. Now, your boundaries speak louder than any words. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to announce your growth. You don't need closure. Because your boundaries are the clearest message of all. They're not built from anger. They're built from healed self-worth. And that's what makes you untouchable. Not arrogance, not pride. Just clarity about your value. You're no longer playing to win the silent war. You've already won by refusing to be dragged into it. Emotional detachment, in the realm of psychological warfare, is the new power move. Those who can't be triggered always win. And you've mastered that art. You no longer seek clarity because you are clarity. You no longer seek revenge because you are karma. You no longer beg for peace because you are peace. And those who once discarded you, thinking you'd fall apart, are now staring in disbelief at a version of you they never saw coming. You are unshakable, unbothered, no longer waiting, and finally, free. They thought walking away without a word was punishment. But ironically, they were building their own prison, brick by brick, with every unspoken word. You're not the one trapped in confusion anymore. They are inside the silence they chose. Silence was once the weapon they used to hurt you. It left you spinning, questioning, replaying every moment. But what they didn't expect was that the silence wouldn't just echo in your heart. It would eventually echo in theirs. Because while you were healing, they were stuck replaying the final scene in their minds. Should I have said something? Have they moved on? Do they hate me now? The weapon they once wielded has become their own mental sentence. And you're no longer standing there, waiting. They thought you'd chase, that you'd plead. But when they finally looked back, they didn't find you crying. They found a void, a space they used to occupy, now replaced with deep, grounded peace. And that realization, it hits harder than any harsh reply ever could. Because it forces them to see they were never as essential as they thought. Example, Marcus, a man who chose to walk away without warning. No message, no call. He told himself it was easier that way, cleaner. But months later, he was still checking her profile. Previously, we explored how your silence became their mirror, a reflection they couldn't escape, and a consequence they never saw coming. Now, let's go even deeper. She never posted a bitter quote. She never ranted online. She never sent that long message explaining everything. She just ... disappeared. And that silence, it didn't just echo, it haunted him, because in that silence, he had no control, no narrative to twist, no reassurance to cling to. He had created a void, and now he was drowning in it, ... Alone, you see. The human mind cannot tolerate unfinished business, psychologically. We crave closure like we crave oxygen. We hate unresolved loops. We replay moments again and again, looking for answers that never come. So when someone walks away without a single word, they may think they've found freedom. But what they've actually created is a ghost. Not one that haunts your life, but one that shadows theirs. It whispers in their quietest moments. It wakes them up at 2 a.m., not with dreams, but with doubts. It follows them into new relationships, into new rooms, into new distractions, reminding them you could have done better. And that kind of self-awareness, it's sharper than any argument, more piercing than any revenge. The mirror effect, your absence forces them to look inward. You didn't have to guilt them. Life already did that for you. When you vanished with dignity, you became a mirror, not to the pain they caused you, but to the truth about who they really are. And nothing is more terrifying than being left alone in silence. With your own conscience, they chose silence. Now silence is their answer. You don't owe them a dramatic finale. You don't have to return with a monologue or closure scene. Let them sit in the very stillness they once weaponized. Let them face the emotional emptiness they once forced you to live with. Because now, your silence speaks louder than anything you could say. It whispers, this chapter didn't end because you closed it. It ended because I outgrew it. You're no longer the one waiting in the void. They are. Here's the truth. When you stop filling the gap, they fall straight into it. When they discarded you, they thought silence would break you. What they never imagined is that you'd build something inside that silence. A life, a strength, a peace. And now they're trapped, pacing the very emotional hallway they once tried to keep you in. But this time, no one's answering the door. No one's picking up the phone. Because they disappeared first. You just made it permanent. There's a moment, it doesn't come right away. Maybe weeks, maybe months. Sometimes it takes years, but it always comes. That one soul-shaking realization, you're never coming back. Not out of spite, not for revenge, but because you've evolved so far beyond who they knew. They wouldn't even recognize the version of you that now stands tall. At first, they're sure, confident. They think you'll reach out, that you'll crumble, that your silence is just a storm before the begging. But time passes. Your name isn't appearing anymore. You've stopped watching their stories. You've stopped replying to mutual friends. You've vanished, not just from their screen, but from their reality. And that's when fear sets in, because it finally hits. I discarded someone who could have been everything, and now I'm not even a passing thought in their world. What they lost wasn't just your presence. They lost someone who saw the cracks and loved them anyway. Someone who listened, someone who forgave. And that kind of love, it's nearly extinct. They'll search for it in others, but all they'll find are mirrors of themselves. Transactional, reactive, shallow, because you didn't love them for the role they played. You loved them for the potential they refused to grow into, and they threw that away. That's not just regret. That's self-inflicted spiritual punishment. Your life now is the closure. You don't need to message them. You don't need to post quotes. You don't need to remind them of what they lost. You're healed, unstoppable, elevated. Life itself is your message. Your peace is the punctuation. Your silence, the proof. Your growth, the ghost that now visits them every night. Example, she doesn't even flinch anymore. Anthony thought Jade would fall apart when he ghosted her. He waited in silence, expecting the call, the tears, the breakdown. But instead, Jade leveled up. New friends, new focus, new light in her eyes. At a mutual friend's wedding, they crossed paths. She looked him in the eye, smiled gently, calm, composed, untouched. No anger, no sadness, just stillness. And in that moment, he knew, she's not mine anymore, not even a little. That realization, it hit harder than rage ever could, because now they finally feel what you once felt. You cried in silence. You begged the stars for answers. You tried to make sense of the chaos they left behind. And now, they're the ones haunted by questions. They're the ones wondering if you've moved on. They're checking to see if you've watched their story, but it's too late. Your soul closed that door, and threw away the key. Final summary. They thought the final goodbye would be loud, dramatic, messy. They never imagined it would be quiet. Not the silence of heartbreak, but the silence of healing. You didn't walk away to hurt them. You walked away to save yourself. And now, as they sit in the ruins of what could have been, you rise, peaceful, powerful, unreachable. That's the moment they realize it's over forever. They thought silence would destroy you. Instead, it became your weapon, your shield, your power. Because the most devastating thing for someone who tried to erase you, is realizing you healed. And they never even got to watch. So if you're still holding on, still wondering if they regret it, let this be your answer. They will. But by the time they do, you'll be too far gone. Keep building your emotional strength. Keep protecting your peace. And never, ever forget, you are the prize. If this message hit home for you, hit like to claim your power. Comment below. I disappeared and found myself. And if you're walking the path of quiet strength and stoic growth, subscribe to join a community that refuses to be broken. Because here at Life Through Stoicism, we don't chase closure, we become it.